This topic is ambiguous, and today many liberals use the issue of the attitude towards the Germans to show all the horror that the Red Army brought to Germany. But let's figure it out. What the invaders did on the territory of the Soviet Union is well known. Here is one of the memories of a veteran son. Dad has a lot of descriptions of where villages were destroyed, up to children. They destroyed small children of Jewish nationality, even 1-year-olds, 2-year-olds. And it's not for a while. These are years. People were walking and saw it. And they went with one goal, to take revenge and kill. What could you expect from a soldier whose family was burned alive? Flowers and kisses on the hand? But in fact, despite the fact that the cases were different, in no case can it be stated that allegedly almost the entire army diligently raped poor and unhappy German women. At the legislative level, as it is now fashionable to say, violence against the civilian population was prohibited. From Stalin's order of January 19, 1945. And the officers and the Red Army. We are going to the enemy's country. Everyone should keep their composure. Everyone should be brave. The remaining population in the conquered areas, regardless of whether they are German, Czech, or Polish, should not be subjected to violence. The perpetrators will be punished according to the laws of wartime. Sexual relations with the female sex are not allowed in the conquered territory. For violence and rape, the perpetrators will be shot. Yes, indeed, sometimes the facts of violence also come up. For example, Ingeborg Bühlert, an actress, told such a case, "Suddenly I saw 2 Russians pointing guns at me," she says. "One of them forced me to undress and raped me. Then they switched places and I was raped by another. I thought I was going to die, that they were going to kill me." She went to complain to the officer, who went down to the basement and began to scold the soldier, and he replied, "What are you talking about? Look what the Germans have done to our women." He shouts, "They took my sister and..." Someone has already agreed to almost 1 million raped German women today. However, a strange detail, rape is talked about most in West Germany, not in East Germany. Why? There are 2 reasons here. The first is the propaganda of the Wehrmacht. Long before the Red Army entered Germany, terrified burghers were told that Red Army soldiers were eating small children and raping everything, including livestock. In general, Goebbels' propaganda worked to the fullest. Of course, there was nothing close to reality there. And here is the proof. On the 2nd of March, 1945, in his diary, the propaganda minister of the Third Reich, Joseph Goebbels, wrote off, in fact, in the person of Soviet soldiers, "We are dealing with steppe scum." First of all, we should mention the terrible documents that came from Upper Silesia. In some villages and towns, all women from 10 to 70 years old were subjected to countless rapes. It seems that this is done by order from above. Would you say that the Minister of Propaganda simply voiced truthful reports? No, friends. It turns out that even in his diary Goebbels lied. For what? After the war, Dr. Werner Naumann, assistant to Reichscommissioner Goebbels, confessed, "Our propaganda about the Russians and what the population should expect from them in Berlin was so successful that we brought the Berliners to a state of extreme horror." The German population had long been psychologically prepared for the image of an animal-like cruel subhuman and was ready to believe in any crimes of the Red Army. Then, again, a historical fact, many German women offered themselves to soldiers. By the way, here are the memories of one soldier, an interpreter. "We went to some German city, settled in houses. A Frau of about 45 appears and asks for the Herr Kommandant. They brought her to Marchenko. She claims to be responsible for the quarter and has gathered 20 German women to serve Russian soldiers. Marchenko understood German, and I translated the meaning of what the German woman said to the deputy politician Dolgoborodov, who was standing next to me. The German woman was covered with obscenities and kicked out. Finally, do the current liberals forget that the Germans offered themselves in return for food? Wildly, no. Our women were raped just like that, and it's good if they didn't kill after that. And, by the way, the Soviet government severely punished all those who were caught and tainted themselves with this. Here are a few examples. The 26th Rifle Division. Report of the 7th of March, 45th year. In the 103rd Rifle Regiment, Officer Drozd organized gang violence against a German woman. He was brought to court by a military tribunal and sentenced to 7 years. A report from the 11th of March 45th, Junior Lieutenant Yakunin, the commander of the machine gun crew of the 1716th Anti-Aircraft Artillery Regiment, was assigned to go to the settlement for meat harvesting. Instead of completing the task, Yakunin engaged in hoarding. In a drunken state he raped 2 German women, and after that he shot 6 people with his machine gun. On March 30, 1945, Yakunin was excluded from the candidates for membership of the VKPB for drunkenness and the arbitrary execution of a German family by a court of military tribunal, convicted and sentenced to 10 years in prison under Article 136 Part 2 and 163 Part 2 of the Criminal Code of the RSFSR. 185th Rifle Division. Sergeant Grinkov, being in a state of intoxication, on the night of the 14th to the 15th of April, 1945, went to the house of a local resident before me to Levkadia and performed a sexual act on the basis of Article 153 Part 2 of the Criminal Code of the RSFSR. Grinkov was sentenced to 8 years in prison. In addition, many officers shot criminals on the spot according to the laws of wartime. For the facts of looting and violence against civilians, sentences were often passed quickly and immediately, as evidenced by the report of the military prosecutor of the First Belarusian Front for the period from April 22 to May 5, 1945. According to 7 armies of the front, 124 crimes were recorded for 908,500 people, of which 72 were rapes. Please note, 72 rapes were committed per million soldiers. You will say that this is only fixed, because not everyone has declared. Not everyone, but there was no mass violence, as they are trying to convince us now, either. The talk that our soldiers raped millions of German women is a vile lie.